3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
All right, welcome to Roots of Reality. My name is Ben Baumann, and today I'm going to be talking about the history of spaceflight. So throughout human history, our species has gazed at the stars and wondered what is out there beyond Earth. This is a question that has fascinated us since the dawn of the human race, inspiring the development of religions and dreams of exploring the universe. In fact, today, all of us at some point in our lives gaze up at the stars and think to ourselves, how are we a part of something like this? This incredible, complex existence. However, despite this fascination with space, it's only very recently, within the last 80 years, that we first made progress towards exploring our universe. Interestingly, though, despite the Soviets and Americans being the most well-known for space exploration when it comes to history, due to the space race during the Cold War, the first nation, though, to actually put a rocket in space was actually Nazi Germany in 1942. Years later, though, in 1957, the Soviet Union changed how the world viewed space forever by putting the satellite known as Sputnik into orbit in outer space. And only a couple years later, in 1961, the Soviets would invent human spaceflight by putting the first human being ever in space, who was Yuri Gagarin. And after this moment, the world would never be the same. So Nazi Germany may have put the first rocket up, but it was the Soviet Union that really carried the torch when it came to space exploration initially. However, as a result of this Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, the United States would then later really beef up its own space program, and in 1969 sent the first people ever to the moon, where Neil Armstrong would take the first step ever by a human being on the moon. And next, in 1976, the United States would land the first spacecraft ever on Mars. And since then, human-made spacecrafts and space probes have explored all over our solar system and have reached all the planets within it. Additionally, as a result of this exploration, various records in space have been created. For example, in 1970, American astronauts on Apollo 13 went to the far side of the moon, about 250,000 miles from Earth, or 400,000 kilometers, which is the furthest that our species has ever been from our own planet. And in terms of the most time ever spent in space by a human being, the Russian cosmonaut Gennady Padalka has the record, having spent over 2 years in space throughout his career. And lastly, when it comes to the spacecraft which has traveled the furthest from Earth, the American spacecraft Voyager 1 has traveled over 14 billion miles, or over 23 billion kilometers from Earth, and has been traveling for 45 years and is still going. Thus, for a species like us that has existed for around 300,000 years, the last 100 years, we have made humongous progress. Because today we are no longer just dreaming of exploring the universe, but instead we are actively doing it, even if it is still quite limited to our solar system. Thus, who knows what the next 300,000 years will hold for our species, but surely it will be beyond our imagination, much like what we are doing today is beyond what our ancestors could imagine. So next time you look up in the sky, don't forget the incredible progress we've made to explore the universe that we all call home. Because at the end of the day, that's what we kind of do as human beings. We're explorers. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, we started in the African continent and from there spread all over the globe before we would eventually explore beyond our planet. So it's really something that's ingrained in our DNA, this desire to wonder what else is out there. What else can we find beyond the places that we call home? So with potential human exploration to the moon and to Mars in the future, being probably the next step in our space exploration journey. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here, but it should be pretty fun and interesting to watch. So with that, as always, remember, billions of years led to you. So make the most of it.